Welcome back to Impact. We're looking at the issues of population and socioeconomic development based on Senator Will Reid's still controversial, two-child proposal. Dr. Glenda Sims remains with us. And now we also have Dr. Sandra Knight, chairperson of the National Family Planning Board, and Dr. Leahcim Semaj, who is in fact supportive of the senator's position. Dr. Semaj, of course, is here with us. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. And of course, Dr. Knight, thank you so very much. I know that your voice is under a bit of pressure based on your schedule now, that you're everywhere based on this. Very busy, but thank you so much for the effort for being here with us on Impact. Let me just start with you. The National Family Planning Board has come out left field, if you may, as it relates to the proposal of Senator Will Reid. Lots of persons are also wondering, I thought that the National Family Planning Board would be in support of Senator Reid's proposal. What's your position on the matter?
Well, we would like to first say that the reason behind the proposal of Senator Reid is not unfathomable one. His intentions are honorable, so to speak. What we particularly had a problem with was the mandatory part of the proposal or suggestion. We do not mandate human rights. We have to understand that women need to be self-empowered to choose how many children they have. And we have a policy, and we've always had a policy of encouraging and preparing a supportive environment for women to have 2 children, which is what we have proposed in the last 20 years.
Yes, 2 is better than too many.
2 is better than too many. The thing is, we are currently very close to 2. And the issues now are different. The issues is not numerical in terms of number of children across the population. The issue is the quality of the population that we have. What proportion of the young people are working? The proportion of our boys, girls, young men, young boys who are educated.
Yes.
The population, the part of the population that is contributing to economic growth and social development. And so we have to put programs in place to start at that level now. And the issue of fertility rate, we do not think is an important one at this time.
In your proposition, you highlighted the fertility in terms of saying that it's actually down. Where is it coming from and where is it now?
It was at 4.6, 4.7, and it's now 2.4 and falling.
Well, let me put it to you. Is it that it is falling in the upper socioeconomic caliber or echelon of society, so that the women who can afford to have the children are not having the children, but those women in the lower socioeconomic bracket, those are the ones that are having the 3 and the 4. So in essence, even though it is falling, it's not a matter of falling, but it's where the fall is. Because if the women who can afford it are not having it, that's not the problem. But the ones who cannot afford it and they're having, that's still a problem.
But we have to look at the population as in its entirety, first of all. And we do the calculation of fertility rate based on the entire population.
Yes.
And then we start to disaggregate it based on where we might have extremes. For example, persons are having too many children and persons are having too little children. But there's this middle line of 2 where we're aiming for. Yes, or more educated, career-based women are not having children or are choosing to have only 1. And yes, we have an extreme where there are still women who have more than they need to. But those persons are not lost. Those persons are not unimportant. Those persons are not animals. They're still human beings and they're still Jamaicans. And we have to ensure that they get an opportunity to be all that they can be. So they're not unimportant. They're still a part of the 2.4. So whether they're born to poor people or to rich people, that's what I'm trying to tell you.
So if we say to have 2 children, and let me bring Dr. Semaj in here in terms of the psychology now, when a person says, okay, you're of a lower socioeconomic, disposition, you cannot afford to maintain these children, you cannot send them to school, you can't feed them, you can't clothe them. We have a problem with that, and we're suggesting that you should have 2 children based on your economic situation. Is that animal subhuman treatment, or is that just being realistic?
Well, I'm happy that the question has been raised, but my concern is that, we confuse, dichotomy with dialectics. people automatically assume, no, you can't do it this way, you can't do it that way. But let's have the discussion. Thesis gives rise to antithesis, resulting in a new synthesis. So we'll think it through.
Yes.
30 years ago, the same kind of question was raised in African American society because the person who raised it was not somebody who was liked. But he pointed out that college-educated black women were not replacing themselves, whereas those with less than high school education were having 5 children. And he predicted danger for African American society in terms of but people came down on him for really saying that. But he was pointing out the process that the society, we have to talk about it and how do we adjust it. 30 years ago, I did a study for the Family Planning Board where I looked at the prevalence of contraceptive use. And what we found was that irrespective of religious belief, women who had something to defend had a higher contraceptive use. Meaning that you were in a training program, you were in school, you said
you had a mission and a goal.
You had a mission and a goal, so you delayed. Whereas the one who wasn't in school, wasn't working, the probably, well, why not? Chances are, if I breed for him, meet a food. So that, yes, there are dynamics, but we need to talk about all of these things, and I want to even bring in things like GDP, migration rate,
yes,
high birth rate population versus low birth rate, because we have some bigger issues. North America is a low birth rate population. We are relatively high to them. Our people who are most inclined to migrate are the young, educated.
So brain drain again.
And they want you in their society, so that we also run the risk of losing
our brightest minds.
Our bright young people to those. So we have to raise all of these questions. Sex ratio is another thing we must raise. It was raised earlier on the program.
Yes.
Once you tip the scale in male versus female, the violence level increases, because men go and fight, right? So that I'm happy for the discussion, but let's just broaden it and work through all the dynamics and see what policies. Kevin raised an issue years ago, which I didn't hear him raise today. He did an informal study asking women about the right for the man's name to be on the birth certificate. And 8 out of the 10 women that were said, no. Me must can call the name me want call. Nobody can tell me. So that's an issue we have to contend. Many women believe that they have a right to raffle it to determine whose name go on the birth certificate. So we love the discussion.
And just to follow up on that, and Dr. Sims, you would probably be in that realm. Some women take the name off or put it on to spite or to out of, go upon it. Me not like him again. And then deprive the child of the right to a heritage, the right to a family, the right to a belonging. And how do you look at that in terms of, women spiting the children?
Why do women want to spite the man?
Yes.
Ask ourselves that question. Is it because she's angry with him? Because he has his wife over there and then come visit you at night, right back to the plantocracy? Remember Dr. Semaj, the man up in the big house? At night he'll come down.
Me like
seriously.
Back to the barracks. We don't want that.
I want Dr. Semaj to agree with me. He's up in the big house, get up at night, leave his white wife in the White House, go down into
the barracks.
The barracks, rape woman, grandmother, the daughters, whatever, sometimes to produce the slave class. So therefore, we had that anger right there from the beginning. I don't even know if we have dealt with that historical wrong. So yes, it's like you're after the man. Come here, I don't want his name on there. But it's because she's not in a proper relationship.
Sometimes it's a visiting relationship.
But she has to take on the responsibility of that herself also.
All right, ladies,
Precisely,
hold that thought for me, please.
Yes.
Doctors, as we take a break, its impact.